So what I was getting to basically was the end of it was the filming, as you can see here, started on June 28th, 2021. And I want you to look at post-production. Now, having multiple date entries on post-production is not terribly uncommon, but the timing of these dates to me is very funny. So June 28th to December 12th, that was basically, so from basically July 1st, let's call it, through, so you got all of July, all of August, all of September, probably all of October. They had some delays because, of course, as it was rumored that Amber actually jabbed Jason Momoa in the eye with the
Yep.
trident during filming. That delayed some of it. You take out the main star. So let's say they had 4 months or so of principal photography.
Mhm.
And again, with the delay, probably a movie like this, 60 to 90 days, a lot of CGI work, a lot of special shots to make this work. A very lengthy post-production period. It started December 12th. Does anybody notice there's another post-production date in there that began around April 8th? Another post-production update.
Oh.
I have a feeling that somebody might squirrel in another date here soon, around mid-May. This is when the rumors started, if you remember, in early April, that she was being cut. Her time was being cut down from the film, right? She had an unknown amount of time. And I see people talking about, oh, well, they boosted her time back to 20, 25 minutes. We're getting there. We don't know how much time she originally had, but according to Walter Hamada's testimony during the trial, her involvement in the film, while it may have been 20 to 25 minutes initially,
Right.
apparently it was not, let's just say it was a rather expendable portion of the film. Okay. This movie centered around Jason Momoa's character, Aquaman, and Patrick Wilson's character. I forget who he's playing in this. Not a surprise. James Wan is doing this movie. If you don't know, James Wan does all the Conjuring stuff, all that whole franchise, of which
Right.
Patrick Wilson has been the star, along with Vera Farmiga. So that's why Patrick Wilson's in this one. Directors like to work with their same actors. So this is a buddy cop comedy, is what Walter Hamada described it as during his testimony in the trial. It centers around Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. Amber Heard effectively was expendable. Of course, we all remember the testimony that she had bad screen chemistry with Jason Momoa. They had to do a lot of extra work in post-production and editing for the first Aquaman film to make it look like they worked together, but it just, they were not a fan of Amber's. But they already had an option on her, and there was no sense in trying to go out and recast her for Aquaman 2. Just throw her back in there, but they were going to minimize her role in the film. Then all this crap started. Then we got the rumor that her time had been cut to 10 minutes or less. We don't know what it was before, but let's assume it was 20 minutes. We got the rumor it was cut to 10 minutes or less. Then we more recently got a rumor that she has been eliminated from the film altogether, and I think she even said something as much while she was on the stand, or something to that effect, that her role in Aquaman had been
reduced substantially, right?
Yeah,
or cut,
reduced substantially.
Which was speculation. And I believe the objection was speculation on that. When she brought that up, she's like, I think it was kind of, it's like, how the fuck would you know? Like, she's not involved in like post-production. So how would she know?
Well, but
way to know?
her agent probably would be in touch to find out what, I mean, if you have an agent like that, that's kind of their job. They're trying to find out, okay, well, how much of their client's footage is actually going to make it to the screen versus hitting the cutting room floor. I can see that. And there was probably some back channel stuff. It's like, look, just letting you know, your client is going to get shanked out this movie. Just letting you, I mean, I could totally, that's how Hollywood works. Everything is this. Okay. Now, what people are talking about this past week with, oh, well, you mean they cut her role, like they doubled her time and put her back to 20 minutes, right? Because people started talking about these test screenings.
Right.
Test screenings. Let me tell you how test screenings work. And this, especially for movies of this budget size. We're talking about a near $200 million budgeted film. They make multiple versions of that film. And as I said on Twitter earlier this week, when they started talking about, well, somebody saw it, Amber was in there for over 20 minutes. She was in the film, according to people who saw the movie. They saw a version. I'm going to tell you what Warner Brothers did. I'm going to explain this very simply. They know the problem they have right now. Okay? Thank God it's not as big a problem as Ezra Miller. That's another conversation. But with Aquaman 2, my belief, they're testing 3 versions of this film, at least. They're testing the original version where Amber was in the movie as they had what they call the final shooting script. Scripts go through tons of revisions as they get from pre-production to actual principal photography. So what they whatever Amber was in for the final script cut of the movie, they left that intact. Then they probably showed another screening that had her cut down to 5 or 10 minutes. And then they probably showed a third screening that had her in it not at all. This is what I'm betting, and here's why. Because when Warner Brothers cuts her out of this movie altogether, as they are likely to do, and there will be screeches and squeals from the kids out there on
The
Twitter.
will be heard like throughout
the
ages.
will be heard.
Yes.
This is a cover your butt moment for Warner Brothers. Because what they want to do, and this happens with all movies. This happens with
I was going to say,
Spider-Man.
Wouldn't they float the idea in order to see how much sentiment is behind it, and then ultimately clip it the way that most people want?
Take audience test scores with these test screenings,
right?
And what they're looking for is to say, when later on, here's what's going to happen. Warner Brothers is going to make a press release saying, "Well, look, we understand some people are upset that Mira was not in the second film." But that was the version of the movie that tested the highest with audiences. This is why they're doing this. I'm telling you, they do this with movies all the time. But they make
Valiant, are you saying that they really don't? Are you saying they're going to only consider the test screenings and they're going to ignore the petition, ignore the potential? Because I don't think I mentioned this before. Like the point, and I put this in the title, and I want to make sure that you guys who accuse me of clickbait make sure I mention it so it's not clickbait. The boycott, because the threat is that if Mira gets 20 minutes and she's not cut from it, she's a significant character in it for whatever standard that is, that there's going to be a boycott of Aquaman 2. They're not going to consider that if there's, X thousand people or 100,000 or 1 million people who sign a petition. They're not going to consider that.
No, they will consider it. But this is my point: is my point is all these films still do test screenings like this,
right?
With different, like sometimes they'll shoot different endings. Famous example out there, for anybody who remembers, everybody remembers Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes.
I always use this as a great example. So the original Broadway play of Little Shop of Horrors, the plant wins. The plant kills everybody. The plant takes over. The original ending to the film with Rick Moranis had the same thing. If you have the 4K version of it, you can watch the original ending just like the Broadway play. The problem is that when they did a test screening, this is way back in the early 80s, obviously. When they did a test screening, they made a second version where they killed a plant. And the audience reaction to the film was much more positive to having the plant die at the end than have the plant kill everyone, even though that was the famous Broadway version. So all these kind of films do stuff like this. Aquaman 2 is no different. They absolutely are hearing the backlash. They know the public sentiment right now is radically against Amber Heard. And they just watched the last Fantastic Beasts movie, the new Harry Potter film, died in the theater. I mean, Warner Brothers lost 150 million plus on that.
On a Harry Potter property. I mean, that's almost as bad as losing money on a Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Star Wars did too. But that was because a lot of that, I think, had to do. First of all, the movies weren't that great. Secondly, certainly cutting Johnny Depp out of it, especially after what happened. Since then, it was definitely impactful. So I cannot see Warner Brothers making that mistake again. If they can figure out a way to remove Amber completely from the film, and sometimes you can't always do that because she might have been involved in scenes that were very germane to the movie itself, that unless they physically go back in and reshoot the whole scene over again, which can be very costly in a movie like this, just like it was with Doctor Strange when they reshot out everything there for 6 weeks. I don't know if they're going to throw any more money at this. I think they're going to try to minimize her role as best as possible.
How about if they have her like R.I.P. Mira? They nuke her character in that version. I mean, I think that
I heard a rumor earlier this week that, and I don't know how true it is. I can't remember where I read it, that they're going to basically kill her off screen, kill the character Mira off screen. Like the movie's going to open up. Mira died in childbirth.
Oh, nice. So this is like the baby.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. That'll be easy, right? That'd be easy when Mira
if they can remove her from the rest of the movie without mucking up what they already have. If probably what they're trying to figure out right now, and this is why this movie they're probably thrilled it's not coming out till next year because it gives them a lot of time to fix things. They're probably trying to figure out a way right now, if they haven't already, to either use what they got and still have a good movie, or figure out what they absolutely have to go back and get Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson back in there to reshoot and like do the same scene over again, but remove Amber Heard from the scene and give the lines to somebody else or something.
Right.
All of that's on the table. I'm not saying that is happening, but I'm saying they're in the writers' room right now. There's a lot of this going on.
Yeah, there's definitely discussions thinking about it. I don't think that, and I don't think anybody can argue with in good conscience that, hey, they're just going to keep her in, ignore all of this. They're not going to pay attention to any of this. They don't care about the money. They don't care about the backlash. I mean, there's no possible way, because they've got to think, hey, we want this, franchise to succeed. And like you've mentioned in the past, Valiant, is that we're entering into an era where numbers matter, things matter, the revenue matters. And you can't keep someone in a movie if you know that nobody's going to go see that movie. It's already going to be a movie that's struggling, because the DC franchises are struggling vis-a-vis Marvel. Mm-hmm. That it's going to be a push, and that sequels are something that always struggle. So I think you need everybody in those seats that you can get in those seats, and there may be people that in fact show up if they know that Amber Heard is cut from the movie. There may be people that show up to support that decision, which is an interesting play here.